Okay.
1 second.
All right. May I have a motion to adjourn? Excuse me, to reconvene into public session. Sarah, seconded by Julie. All those in favor? All right. And I think we actually technically have to adjourn, Sarah, so we got to figure that out. All right. Moving on, I would like to call this regular meeting of the Board of Education to order. The next special Board of Education meeting is on Tuesday, May 7th at 7:30 p.m. in the board meeting room. I will move on to a chairperson's report. I do not have one this evening, hoping to make this a fairly short evening. That'll go to public comment. Paul.
Good evening. If anybody in person would like to participate in public comment, please come up to the podium and wait for the chair to recognize you. Please state your name and address for the record, and you will have up to 3 minutes to comment. Please note the time with the board chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Paul Henderson. I live at 97 White Street. Tonight I come before you to ask you to contact your state legislator to request full funding for excess cost reimbursement, or ECR. This year, there were claims in excess by 80 million over what was funded. It was funded up to $181 million. The claims were 260 million. And the legislators just increased that from 140 million a couple of years previously, or else the reimbursement rate would have been 50%. Both Darien and Trumbull, which I represent, are supposed to get 85% of reimbursement rate, and we will get roughly 67 to 68%. This puts a hole in both of our budgets. And as I sent a note to Tracy Mara, it's about time we looked at using the rainy day fund up at Hartford. And I said, I don't feel the rain, but I hear the distant thunder. And our district has sent out a note to Dave Retigliano, who represents Trumbull, and he responded favorably, and he is pursuing that in the legislature. And I would encourage all of you, either as individuals or as a body, to contact your legislators. I know Darien has been gerrymandered, but so each of you probably has a different legislator. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
If anybody online would like to participate in public comment, please use the raised hand icon. We have no raised hands at this time.
All right. Superintendent's report.
Good evening, everybody. Clear my throat. I'd like to congratulate one of our Henley fifth grade students, Colel Atonito, for winning the Philadelphia's Constitutional Walking Tours American Freedom Essay Contest. He has just won a trip for the fifth grade class, to go to Philadelphia. So congratulations. But also like offer our congratulations to the Darien High School math team for placing second in the state math league tournament. And we wish them good luck as they go to New England competition this Friday. We were also just a recipient of yesterday and today of the news that Darien High School was ranked second in the state of Connecticut for best high school. Only pipped at the post by IB Academy in East Hartford that has less than 200 students. We were also, excuse me. We were also named for the fourth year as the NAM from the NAM Foundation for the best district for the arts and for music. So we congratulate all of our students and our staff, our talented students, the achievement of our students, both at the high school and also for the music teachers throughout the district for the fabulous job they're doing, for the fabulous job our young musicians do. This is just a testament to both their talents and achievements and also the commitment from the district and from the community to academic excellence in the arts. So congratulations to everyone. The appropriation for the P&Z meeting went this evening, so perhaps we'll have someone give us a wee update on that later for our two attendees. The Literacy Steering Committee continues its work. The survey is opened. We extended the survey to this Friday. So if you're out there and you haven't completed it, we have a good number of parents who have completed. So, but if you haven't, it'll be open through this Friday. And the school climate survey is now active. Parents will have received an opportunity to complete that, and the students are completing it over the next 2 weeks. The Out of Darkness walk at the high school, I don't know if our students are going to talk about that or not, are you? No, okay, all right. So the DHS Out of Darkness walk is this Sunday, April 28th. It starts at 11 o'clock. This is the second year that we have hosted this, and I think we're the only high school in the state who actually does host Out of Darkness walk for suicide prevention. And so one and all are welcome to attend. That same afternoon, there's a grade 7 through 12 Balancing Act Forum promoting mental health and nurturing personal wellness and joy in sports, and that is at the DHS auditorium, and all students and athletes from grade 7 through 12 are invited. This is a season for spring musical recitals and performances. I won't list them all, but you get a wee chance to support the kids. I know they would appreciate that. There will be meet and greet opportunities for the Ox Ridge and Hindley staff and parents to meet their new principals. That will be being scheduled for the month of May. Along those same lines in May, we will be communicating, hopefully by the end of this week, when the HHR updates for parents and also for staff. So we'll schedule those accordingly also. The Facilities Committee will not meet this week, neither will the Communications Committee. Policy Committee meets on May 7th. And we also are celebrating Autism Acceptance Month all month, along with people actually across the world to raise awareness, promote autism acceptance, and celebrating the diversity of our students and the neurodiversity of our students. So hopefully along the way you can join us in that inclusivity and celebrating our students who have autism. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Okay, student representative reports.
Good evening, everyone. This past Monday, we cheerfully welcomed our school communities back from spring recess, and our fourth quarter is up and running officially, and we'll be coming into the AP exams for students who take advanced placement college board courses, and those will start very shortly. We're also coming into some very exciting musical events like the Triumph Senior Recital, which will be next Tuesday night, as well as Dr. Adley had mentioned, the Out of the Darkness campaign walk. Just to clarify, it will start at 11:45, but registration will open at 11 for those who would like to register on campus. And we really encourage everyone who can to come out and show some support. It's a really touching experience and a great way for us to come together and bond as a community and show our strength and our support.
Along with that, student government is also busy transitioning into its new executive board leaders, as well as planning for prom. And prom tickets will be going on sale later this week. So for juniors, that would be April 23rd, and for seniors, that'd be April 29th.
Thank you very much. Okay, approval of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the following minutes of the special meeting held on April 10th, 2024, and minutes of the special meeting held on April 20th. Oh, the regular meeting held on April 10th, 2024. Right? Are they both? Julie, seconded by Dennis. All those, sorry, they're both special meetings. Yeah. That's unanimous. Okay. Board committee reports. John?
On Friday, and I'm getting ready now, is April 12th, the Finance Committee met. We've recommended for approval a few transfers, and then also briefly discussed, thank you, Dennis. Let me restate. So April 12th, the Finance Committee met. We are recommending that the board approve a few transfers that Rich will discuss later. And briefly discussed the fiscal year 24 operating deficit, but decided that not to kind of weigh in on anything and bring that whole discussion forth to the board. I think it's running around just around 199,000 as of the current month.
Okay, thank you. Any others? I think Alan just touched on HHR.
Do you want us to just comment briefly on the P and Z hearing?
Please,
Yeah,
yeah.
so Rich and I were at the Planning and Zoning Commission this evening discussing parking for both this location and Thorndale Circle. There were two separate applications. We presented no opposition and both hearings were closed. So I believe May 7th, they'll be weighing in with a decision. There is a mandatory referral, but we are not required to be there on May 7th either.
Wonderful. Any questions? Okay. Presentations and discussions. We'll start with the discussion on March 2023-24 financial report and possible action on proposed budget transfers. Rich.
So this is the financial report through March. We are forecasting a deficit of 199,250. The general education RCs are positive 86,154, with the special education RCs a deficit of just over 285,000. Overall, the salary line item is positive by $352. As we discussed all year, staff turnover did not meet expectations and was short by 324,000, partially offset by salary savings of 246,000. The operating budgets were forecasted a deficit of 96,000, largely done from special education tuition at 86,000, and then legal fees for the district, 15,000. Fixed costs are forecasted at a positive 93,000, primarily from savings in utilities, heat, water, and electricity, and a small amount of savings in health insurance from census changes. Equipment is forecasted at a positive $6,800, and small amounts of money in furniture and science equipment. Revenue is forecasted at a deficit of just over $200,000. Is primarily related to excess costs, which fell short by 199,000. As Paul mentioned, the reimbursement rate came in at just over 66%. It is one of the lower rates, and claims did exceed the state's budget by close to $80 million. This will certainly affect next year's budget. If we're expected to get a higher reimbursement rate than 66%, claims throughout the state are going to have to drop, or the state's going to have to appropriate more money, which at this point they are not. So there are two transfers for consideration. The first is for $15,000 for legal fees. We are recommending taking it from the savings and heat due to lower consumption. And then the second transfer for $34,000, and this is to partially offset the tuition deficit. And again, we're taking the savings from various savings and utility accounts such as heat, water, and electricity.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
I don't have a question about the transfer, but I have something, a question about in the packet. You want to do the transfer and then also a question?
No, go ahead.
So not related to the transfers, can you, in the packet, and it's page 59 in the packet, talking about excess cost. Can you explain the difference to me? And maybe I should know this and I don't, but the difference between uncapped entitlements and capped entitlements and I mean, it seems like our numbers much higher than everyone else.
So uncapped entitlements mean we were funded in full.
Okay,
So the capped entitlements is that 66.7%.
gotcha. That's a 60, okay, gotcha. So our claims are really, really high.
Which
Yes.
they are across the state,
So
right?
across the state, they are very high. We file for every penny that we can get.
Mhm.
We look at both in-district and out-of-district expenditures that claim. But, state claims were the highest they've been ever.
What did Paul say, 260?
280, I think was close to
280, and it's funded at 180, so that's a $1
181.
million
181.
difference, 181 is funded at. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay,
Yeah, just one, as a reminder, what did we budget for excess cost for next fiscal year?
So 75%.
75.
So if you were to look at the claims that were submitted throughout the state, with the tiering, you'd have to at least expect about a $30 million drop from claims across all municipalities to come close to that 75%. So given special education costs are not going down across the state, it's not likely that you're going to see a 75% increase.
Though we certainly can pound the table to our legislators, each and every one of us. Okay, any other questions? Right, may I have a motion to approve the March budget transfers? Sarah, seconded by John. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Discussion and possible action on special appropriation request for fiscal year 24 operating deficit, Rich.
So overall, special education deficit was just over $1 million between consultant services, tuition and pupil evaluations. The board did approve a number of transfers to partially offset that deficit. And then additionally, we did have a shortfall associated with staff turnover, as I mentioned earlier, by about $324,000. So now that the transfers are approved, the special education deficit would stand at 251,000 and the general education RCs would be at 52,000. So for a net of 199,250. So if the special appropriation request is approved, the next steps would be to go to the Board of Selectmen, and then if it's approved, to go to the Board of Finance, and then eventually the RTM.
All right, questions on this number?
I have a comment.
John, go ahead.
So in this 199 and change number, there's an $18,000 allocation towards early retirement that has been added over the last month. So can you just explain a little around that?
So the board did approve an early notification incentive of $5,000 for DEA members. So the assumption within this is that we would receive 6. So we budgeted, which we typically do is for 2,000. So we budgeted the assumption of 6 because that's typically in the range of what we would get. So that's 12,000. So at 5,000, the differential is 18,000. We did ended up getting 8 individuals. So that would make the differential 28 as opposed to 18.
Okay, and so just to be clear, the 18 now is out of date.
Correct. So the 18 should be 28 now.
Okay, and so we're now allocating dollars that were not budgeted. These are non-contractual expenses towards our staff. So what are the ways that we can fund it other than looking for a special appropriation?
So if the board wanted to reduce the request from 199,250 to 171,250, essentially the difference of the 28 at the May, the May Finance Committee and then the May Board of Ed Committee, we could bring a recommended transfer, which would likely come from a lot of small dollar amounts throughout a number of accounts, a number of supply accounts. And then if approved, then that would fund that differential.
And you're confident that I will call it scrape nickels, pennies, and dimes
Yeah. So I think
from these accounts?
So I think you'll just see a lot of accounts that might be, a few $100s here or a few $1,000s there. And it would just be a number of accounts that would create that transfer.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion we don't have a motion on the table yet, but I would like to make the suggestion that we reduce it by the 18,000 because,
28,000.
well, it's not, again, it's from the 199. So
So yeah, if it's the 18,000, it's 181,250.
yes. Okay. And then then we will not be getting the incremental 10,000 from special appropriations. It will be coming from the couches, nickels and dimes. Okay, so that would be my recommendation when we have a motion for
Okay.
this.
Okay. Rich, in terms of process, if we find that 181 is too generous or not generous enough, generous, of course, being the wrong word, but if it's the wrong number, what process would we follow in both cases?
Sure. So if we ask for too much, when we close out our books, the money goes back to the town, to the town's general fund, just like it would in any other year. That typically happens in the August timeframe, as that's about when we close our books. If it ends up not being enough, we would be looking again to do transfers to kind of pull back on things. We would have to look at our accounts payable in terms of what outstanding invoices we would have. At the end of the day, you have to have a balanced budget.
Okay. In terms of if it's too much, When would you know that? Like if, because we would be going through the process through the month of May, so we'll have another financial cycle before we
Yeah.
really would hit
So
the
you
RTM.
won't really know until August. That's when everything gets closed. So like a good example would be, we consume electricity through June 30th, but we don't get billed for that electricity on June 30th. And so we
Right.
have to wait, a period of weeks before we get those invoices and process those invoices and things like that. So early August is when we would know if it was too generous.
Okay. So you wouldn't anticipate knowing kind of by early June, anything different?
I'm not expecting any big swings. There aren't too many big swings in April, so I would not expect anything. And we're kind of, at the end of the line for the fiscal year, so I would not expect any significant swings.
Okay. Do you have any capacity in this number at all? Meaning, I don't know, somebody goes out sick and you got to pull from a substitute line. Like, how much flexibility do you have?
So I think our expectation at this point is we're going to look at doing what's called a soft freeze in the district. And so what a soft freeze is we give everybody the opportunity to encumber funds that they might need to carry them through really like the end of the year graduation. And then you have what's called a blanket purchase order. So for smaller things like office supplies, we're not asking them to tell us, how many pencils they need, but, have a blanket purchase order that they can draw off to get them through the end of the year. And that's when we kind of scrape those accounts to get us, for those unanticipated, whether it's a substitute or if it's, a swing in overtime for custodians or, something like that.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions on this item? Dennis?
Just as one, I believe this is the first time we've gone to ask for appropriations in my time on the board. Do you have on your for fiscal shortfall at the end of the year?
Oh, okay, because COVID.
We've returned money to the town pretty much every year that I've been on the board. Do you know off the top of your head, when's the last time we've asked for money at the end of the year?
So COVID, at least in my tenure, COVID, so 2020.
But that was a total, that's an anomaly. But other than that, we've been,
I don't believe you have at least in the last 10 years. I'd have to probably go back and check to be 100% certain.
okay, just to be clear that this is
It's not a regular opportunity.
occurrence.
No. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to say the number because I want to make sure we're clear about what we're asking for. So may I have a motion to approve the special appropriation request for 181,000, which I just wrote down somewhere.
Yeah,
181.
180, thank you, 181,250 for the fiscal year 24 operating deficit. John, seconded by Julie. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Okay, that will go to the Board of Selectmen in early May. I think they meet on the 6th. Board of Finance from there with the idea of ending up at the RTM for their meeting in June. Yes.
Rich, can you quickly say what that number represents as a percentage of our budget for the year? I mean, real guesstimate.
Like a 1/10%.
yeah,
Thank you. That's just,
Little-
that's what I thought. I just wanted to hear that out loud.
little
Thank
over.
you.
Okay, further discussion and possible action on proposed revisions to board policies 9320 time, place and notice of meetings, 9330 public meetings and executive session, 9350 quorum and voting procedures, 9360 minutes, 9240 official duties secretary, 9220 official duties chairperson, 5050 administration of student medications in schools. Marge.
I think the only open issue was on time, place, and notice of meetings, where I think Dr. Adley has the results of the poll of the board about start time and end time, if you wanted to plug those numbers in.
So from 7 respondents, 5 went for 7:30, 2 for 7, and then everybody went for the ending of the meeting at 10:30.
Okay.
So it seems like 7:30 it is.
Okay. All right, any other questions on these policies? Dave?
So Marge, in 9320, 1E, first sentence, second line, it says that at any point in the meeting of the board should not maintain a quorum, then the chairperson of the board will adjourn the meeting and declare blah, blah, blah. So the question is, we have will adjourn. is that supposed to mean they're obliged to, as in shall, or is that supposed to be may, that they have the option? I'm just not sure where it's
It
the
should
word
be,
choice.
it should be shall, because you can't continue without, but I can just confirm that with Shipman and change it if that's makes people more comfortable.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that change. Otherwise, this is fine. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay. So then may I have a motion to approve the proposed revisions to 9320 time, place, and notice of meetings as amended, 9330 public meetings and executive session, 9350 quorum and voting procedures, 9360 minutes, 9240 official duties secretary, 9220 official duties chairperson, 5050 administration of student medications in schools. John, seconded by Julie. All those in favor? That is unanimous. All right. March, action on non-renewal of certified staff working under one-year contracts and long-term substitutes and permanent building substitutes. We have no action.
No action.
Okay. With that, I'll open it to public comment.
Good evening. If anybody in person would like to participate in public comment, please approach the podium and wait for the chair to recognize you. Please state your name and address for the record, and you will have up to 3 minutes to comment. Please note the time with the chair. If anybody online would like to participate, please use the raised hand icon. We have no raised hands at this time.
Okay, under an hour. No,
Under half.
under half an hour. We have a motion to adjourn. Dennis, second.